Hey, this is Jim, and today we're going to talk about the ideas of creativity and how to be a more creative person. This is something I've been thinking through recently and with some of my mentors on how we sort of access this deeper part of ourselves and just put stuff out. How do we able to think better through problems? How are we able to be more of ourselves? How can we add sort of a level of creativity to our lives that enhances our relationships? Maybe it enhances our work, the passion projects we're working on. Creativity is such a big part of our work life, our relationship life, how we just go about living our lives in general, that it's a skill that we all need to cultivate in some ways to sort of apply to our everyday life. And so through my own inner work and through my own sort of going to work, realizing kind of my own strengths and weaknesses, what I've realized for you and what you can work on in terms of making your creativity better so you can have better relationships, you can make more money in the long term, you can have more status, you can have more a better career, is this idea of getting out of your own way. This is one of the main things I've learned about when it comes to creativity and being more creative in general, with our pursuits, work, relationships, whatever it is. It's this idea of turning the mind off and allowing things to occur. So what does it mean by allowing things to occur? What I've learned is when we let things just happen naturally, whether it's an action, whether it's anything you're working on, we have this own inner genius within us. That's sort of like our own inner creative bubble, our own kind of inner subconscious things that we have within us. And when you're able just to let that come out, let that inner genius come out, and kind of, whether that's, creativity when it comes to maybe you're an artist type person, you're working on a project, you're a musician, you're working on a song, or just even in career, thinking through different ideas, how to address a problem and be able to put that down on paper. Even me in this video, I'm doing a lot of free flowing, but a lot of this is coming from internally, about discussing my own inner ideas of creativity and just letting it come out of me. I'm getting out of my own way and allowing the ideas to flow. It's all based around that. So when you're able to just turn off the mental chatter within the mind and you just let things come out of you, whether that's words, ideas, just anything in general, when it comes to making your life better, you just got to let it happen. And that really comes down to getting out of your own way. And that's one of the main things I've learned, is that we often self-sabotage our own success and self-sabotage our own ways of being creative. So when you just allow yourself to win, it's the difference between being addicted to losing and being addicted to winning. Because when you're turned on mentally, when you're connected to that inner genius inside, and you're not trying to filter yourself so much and think through every problem and self-doubting and self-critiquing, and you just kind of allow yourself to do the things you want to do, you allow yourself to win, you kind of just do the right thing and you make the right choices. And that inner creativity comes out in whatever you're doing, work or whatever. For me, I'm a musician and I play music. So when I'm working on a song or a musical idea or something, a lot of the times I'm dealing with self-doubt, I'm dealing with criticism, maybe I'm thinking, oh, this musical idea doesn't work, or I don't like the way I phrase that. My best ideas come when I turn my mind off. So it's that idea of inner judgment we all have. We all have sort of this inner critic that we're dealing with. If you turn that off and you just, for lack of better words, as I said, get out of your own way, and you just let the ideas flow from you, whether you think they stink, maybe you have your inner voice is saying, oh, this is not a good idea, you shouldn't do this. But if I just put it on paper, and if I take that song idea or whatever it is, and I just put it out there, I put the idea out there, a lot of the times it's better than I expected it. And it might get more of it, it might get a better response from people than I expected, rather than just, keeping it bubbled up inside and not letting it out. And so that kind of idea of getting out of your own way can apply to music, but can apply to everything in life, whether it's like relationships, being more creative in your relationship, being more creative at work, whether it's dealing with your boss, ideas in general. If you can just allow them to bubble up, to come out by getting out of your own way and just getting better and just getting stuff out there. You're working that creative muscle. Another way to address this, and so that main pillar of getting out of your way is super key. But another way, as I kind of alluded to, was that idea of turning off that inner critic. And that's very much in cause with getting out of your own way. Now, what does that mean to silence, or what even is the inner critic? A lot of us are overcaught in our own head, in our own thinking. We tend to overjudge ourselves, and we tend to, we're thinking about, we're thinking about something. We're thinking about, how this idea is not going to work, or we're thinking about what we're going to have for lunch, or especially if there's something we know we want to do, that voice comes on, and we just start overthinking. Oh, what if this happens? We kind of go to a fight or flight, and we just start overthinking everything. Oh, blah 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 blah. And so then we're sort of disconnecting ourselves from that inner genius, that inner creativity that we all have, and we're going into the frame of the inner critic. And so we never allow ourselves to be creative because we're always thinking about something, rather than, as I said, getting out of your way, turning that inner critic off and letting the ideas come. So last thing I'll kind of leave you with, what I've learned from dealing with that inner critic, and this is more not even just with creativity, this is with just life, living a better life, being happier, having better relationships, doing better at work in general, not even just when it comes to creativity, is just turning that inner critic off, being more of ourselves, being authentic to yourself, and not always sort of overjudging the things that you're doing, and sort of spending most of your life criticizing yourself over certain things. So ways to address this inner critic, for me, I've learned about through exercise. So getting out of your head, getting into a flow state through exercise. I mean, I do yoga, but running, getting into where you're moving your body. You're getting out of your head. You're not sitting around overthinking, but you're moving your body. You're getting the juices flowing, and you're able to kind of think through things in a better perspective. Another thing's meditation. This is super key to the way I live my life, and just my daily routine is meditating, connecting with the breath. So if you find yourself attaching yourself to that inner critic or overthinking something, it's good just to relax and go into the body, feel the breath, and just, usually when we're overthinking, maybe anxiety's kicking in. So it's relaxing, allowing that inner critic to calm down, feeling the breath. And then from when you have that body awareness, kind of what yoga is all about, is being in connect with the body, kind of feeling the body rather than overthinking and being in the mind. You connect with the body, you're present to the moment, and you allow things to come, which results, as I said, more money, better relationships, all of that all together, which I've learned in my own personal life. And last thing I might say is eating good foods too. I think all the bad foods we're eating nowadays, especially everything in the grocery stores, that leads to an overcritical thinking mind, because a lot of this food hijacks our brain, and you feel crappy from maybe eating a bag of Cheetos or whatever it is. So if you can get back to eating good solid foods, meditating, having a good routine, exercise, doing yoga, you're going to start to be able to notice that you're not in your head as much, and you can sort of access that inner genius, that inner authenticity, inner creativity we all have to make our lives better. So hope this helps. Kind of was all over the place, but let me know what you thought of it. Just making some more posts. Hope you have a good day.